At the edge of the Pacific, cloaked in morning mist and myth, rises a $75 million villa unlike any other. Wrought iron gates open to reveal a world sculpted by time, taste, and triumph. An Italian Renaissance fantasy suspended over the sea. But who lives here? A woman whose voice shaped decades, whose fashion rewrote the rules, whose life defies every label. This is the Malibu sanctuary of Cher, the eternal goddess of pop. And today, you're stepping inside her story. From soaring ceilings to hidden meditation rooms, from luxury to legacy, we'll explore the homes, the cars, the fortune, and the mystery behind a woman who has lived 1,000 lives and still feels like a dream. Ready to begin? Before the gowns, the Grammys, and the glittering Malibu cliffs, there was a little girl in El Centro, California, forgotten behind a nursery window. Her name was Cheryl Sarkisian. Born in 1946, Cher's life began in the kind of chaos that could easily swallow a child whole. Her father, a truck driver with Armenian roots and a crippling addiction to drugs and gambling, vanished early, leaving behind more absence than memory. Her mother, Georgia Holt, was a dreamer, a model, an actress, a wanderer, who carried her children from city to city, marriage to marriage, hoping for a break that never seemed to come. At just 10 months old, Cher was placed in a Catholic orphanage. Her mother could only visit once a week, peering at her child through glass. Imagine that, a future global icon, staring out through a nursery window, wondering where love had gone. And yet, even then, something shimmered. Cher grew up poor, nomadic, and hungry, not just for food, but for more. She performed mini-plays for classmates in the 5th grade, stole the spotlight in lunchroom concerts, and dreamed obsessively of becoming famous without even knowing how or why. By the time she hit her teens, her voice had dropped, her style stood out, and her mind was fixated on stardom. "I didn't know what I was good at," she once said. "I just knew I had to be somebody." Then came Sonny. In 1962, she was 16. He was a struggling songwriter. He gave her a job. She gave him a reason to believe again. Together, they created not just music, but a movement. In 1965, I Got You Babe exploded across the radio waves. America had found its new obsession, Sonny and Cher. Their harmony was raw and electric, their fashion, unapologetic. And Cher, with her dark hair, soulful voice, and ethereal defiance, became a vision no one could forget. But fame, like fire, burns everything in its path. As their star rose, their marriage fractured. By 1975, the duo had dissolved, on stage and off. But instead of crumbling, Cher transformed. She dove into solo music, signed a $2.5 million record deal with Warner Brothers, and fought to define herself outside of any man's shadow. The hits came. Bang Bang, Gypsies, Tramps and Phone and Thieves. And decades later, Believe, proving time and time again that Cher wasn't tied to an era. She was the era. And when Hollywood called, she answered. Mask, Moonstruck, Mermaids. Critics scoffed until they saw her on screen. Then they handed her an Oscar. Through it all, bankruptcies, reinventions, stadium tours, and comebacks, Cher held on to the one thing she could always control, the myth. She wasn't just a singer, not just an actress, not just a celebrity. She was Cher, a woman who redefined aging, femininity, and fame itself. And when it came time to put down roots, she didn't choose a mansion in the hills or a castle in the city. She built a temple, above the ocean, on the edge of Malibu. Are you ready to see it? Mansion in Malibu. What kind of home does a goddess build? High above the crashing waves of the Pacific, wrapped in salt-kissed air and the golden hush of Malibu sunsets, lies Cher's masterpiece, a $75 million mansion unlike anything else in California. But this isn't a house. It's a statement, a declaration of rebirth, resilience, and raw artistic vision, designed not just to impress, but to enchant. Cher purchased the land in the early 1990s and spent nearly 5 years crafting her dream estate, piece by piece, like composing a ballad in stone. The result? A 13,200 square foot villa inspired by Italian Renaissance design, sitting on 1.7 acres of prime cliffside real estate. You don't just arrive here, you ascend. Through a wrought iron gate that creaks open like the first note of a song. Along a stone-paved driveway flanked by cypress trees that rise like cathedral columns. Past lush Mediterranean gardens and whispering fountains until you see it. The facade is regal and warm, terracotta tones, sweeping arches, and carved wooden details that shimmer in the sunlight. The mansion doesn't scream luxury, it sings it. Step inside, and the breath leaves your body. Vaulted ceilings stretch toward the heavens, each intricately carved by artisans flown in from Europe. Antique chandeliers glitter softly above limestone floors. Arched doorways, thick with old-world charm, invite you from one lavish space to another, each more intimate, more sacred than the last. The great room is the heart of the home. Massive windows frame the Pacific like a living painting, while velvet-upholstered sofas and ancient tapestries wrap the space in royal comfort. In the corner, a grand piano waits, silent now, but once alive with the sounds of rehearsals, midnight melodies, and soul-searching chords. To the left, a formal dining room set beneath a ceiling of hand-painted cherubs. Every chair, every candle, every porcelain plate, chosen by Cher herself. This is not interior design, it's autobiography. The kitchen is rustic meets regal. Exposed beams, imported tile, a stone hearth, and a walk-in pantry that could rival a boutique grocer. Cher often described it as the most human room in the house, where wine was poured, stories spilled, and meals became rituals. Then there's the master suite. It's not a bedroom, it's a sanctum. A private terrace opens to the horizon. The bathroom features a marble soaking tub that overlooks the ocean. And tucked behind a hidden door, a meditation room lined with candles, prayer beads, and silence. Every inch of this home is sacred space. 7 bedrooms, each with private balconies and ocean views. A full spa, a private gym, multiple salons, and yet, nothing feels cold or overly designed. It feels lived in, layered. Like every wall holds a whisper of the woman who dreamed it into being. Outside, the magic deepens. A zero-edge infinity pool seems to spill into the Pacific itself, blurring the line between Earth and eternity. A championship tennis court awaits just beyond the lemon groves. There are sculpture gardens, rose arbors, a shaded pergola for tea, and hammocks that sway between ancient olive trees as if waiting for a timeless soul to return. Privacy is paramount here. No drones, no gawkers, just sky, sea, and stone. A modern temple built for reflection, resurrection, and legend. Cher once said she didn't want a home. She wanted a retreat that sings. And this estate? It doesn't just sing, it soars. But Malibu is only part of the story. There's another home, deeper inland, more hidden, more Hollywood. Shall we? Mansion in Beverly Hills. If Malibu is the goddess's temple, then Beverly Hills is her hidden chamber of secrets. Tucked away on a rare, flat, 1.15-acre lot, spanning from one gated street to another, is a home that doesn't demand attention until you're inside. Then it doesn't let you go. This is where Cher's other life unfolds. Purchased for around $35 million, this estate is not perched above cliffs or drenched in ocean spray. Number. This one is grounded, lush, and surrounded by trees so tall and thick they swallow the outside world whole. Step through the first gate, yes, there are 3, and you're immediately greeted by peace, the kind of silence only the rich can buy. Here, time slows down. The winding driveway is lined with manicured hedges and a curated blend of wild nature and calculated design. You pass koi ponds glistening under the California sun, listen to fountains that bubble like whispered memories, and arrive at a stone facade that glows in soft amber light. This is not a house for spectacle. This is where stories are kept. The main residence spans over 12,000 square feet, and unlike the ocean-facing Malibu villa, this one leans into classic Hollywood romance. Timeless, textured, and deeply personal. Inside, exposed wooden beams stretch across high ceilings like skeletal poetry. French imported hardwoods soften your steps. Every piece of furniture feels like it belongs in a film, plush, deliberate, elegant. The heart of the home, a countryside kitchen that hums with warmth. Stone counters, vintage cabinetry, and an island large enough to host not just dinner, but conversation. Cher always said she cooked more in this house than anywhere else. Not for guests, for family. Follow the curve of a stone arch, and you'll find her private library. A room cloaked in mahogany and mystery, filled with leather-bound books, old scripts, spiritual volumes, and a reading chair placed just so, where she's been known to sit for hours, barefoot, thinking. There's a private movie theater with velvet curtains and retro lighting, a billiards room echoing Sinatra-era charm, and a gym tucked away behind mirrored doors where Cher, still defiant against time, trains like someone half her age. Upstairs, 6 bedrooms stretch like wings, each with its own rhythm. The master suite, a dream in ivory and wood, wooded with sweeping windows that open to treetops and quiet birdsong. Outside, the estate reveals its final surprise. A championship-grade tennis court oriented perfectly north-south. A lagoon-style swimming pool, hidden like a jungle spring. And gardens. God, the gardens. They bloom in layers. Bougainvillea tangles with climbing roses. Jasmine perfumes the air at night. And in one tucked-away corner, a stone bench faces west. Cher's favorite place to sit at sunset. Wine glass in hand, watching the light change, remembering. And then there's the guest house. It's not just for visitors. It holds memories. Cher once described it as haunted in the best way. Lovers pass through here, friends, musicians, maybe even ghosts. This isn't just real estate. It's a reflection of the part of Cher not lit by stage lights. The part that aches, that ages, that needs stillness. Where Malibu showcases power and presence, Beverly Hills whispers legacy and love. And yet, we're still only seeing the walls she lets us see. So how does this woman, this icon, move between these worlds? Perhaps the answer lies not in the homes she's built, but in the wheels that carry her between them. If homes are where Cher anchors her spirit, then her cars, they're the chariots of transformation. Each vehicle in her collection isn't just about horsepower or price tags. It's about moments, moods, freedom. Let's take a ride. Cars, 1999. Porsche 911 Carrera. Top speed, 174 miles per hour. 0 to 60 in 5.0 seconds. This wasn't a car, it was a rebellion on wheels. Cher bought the 911 Carrera during one of her boldest style eras, the late 90s, when she was all leather, attitude, and post-Vegas glow. The Porsche was low, sleek, unapologetic, just like her. She'd take it out late at night, driving up and down Pacific Coast Highway with the stereo blasting Bowie, wind crashing through her hair, no paparazzi in sight, alone, at peace, in control. It was more than transport, it was therapy. 2010 Cadillac DTS Limousine. Extended wheelbase luxury. Iconic in presidential fleets, every icon needs an entrance. This stretch limo wasn't just about comfort, it was about presence. When Cher arrived in this sleek black chariot, doors didn't just open. Crowds parted, used for award shows, charity galas, and more than a few private events. This Cadillac was a rolling red carpet. And inside, champagne chillers, mirrored ceilings, and seats so plush they whispered secrets. Because sometimes, being a legend means never driving yourself. 2013 BMW X5, luxury midsize SUV. Twin power, turbo engine. The X5 is the quiet car, the one fans never see. It's what Cher drives when she goes to the studio, when she drops by a friend's house, when she sneaks into Whole Foods in sunglasses and a scarf. Comfortable, reliable, understated, but still top tier. Like her speaking voice when she's offstage, calmer, grounded, real. This SUV is for the woman, not the performer. 2018 Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Top-tier executive sedan. Known for elegance and tech innovation. Refined, effortless, supreme. The S-Class is a whisper of wealth, a car that glides more than it drives. Cher uses it for city dinners, Malibu to Beverly Hills commutes, and nights when she just wants to disappear into luxury. the scent of leather, the gentle glow of ambient lights. It's a car that hums instead of growls. Inside, she listens to old demos, sometimes in silence, sometimes not, because even in her 70s, she's still chasing the perfect note. Together, these cars aren't just a collection, they're a timeline of a life lived on stages, in courtrooms, through heartbreaks and comebacks. And just like her voice, each one tells a story. Now, let's talk about the numbers behind the legend. Because if the roads have been iconic, the earnings have been extraordinary. $360 million. That's the number most sources estimate when talking about Cher's net worth. But how do you calculate a lifetime of reinvention? How do you put a dollar sign on influence? Let's start with Vegas. In the early 1980s, Cher became one of the highest paid performers on the Las Vegas Strip, earning a staggering $300,000 per week. At a time when many questioned her future, she was already rewriting her financial legacy. Then came Caesar's Palace. From 2008 to 2011, she performed over 200 shows at the Coliseum, grossing more than $180 million. Every night, sold out. Every ticket, a tribute to her longevity. But the music was only one river feeding the fortune. Cher has released over 20 studio albums, many of them going platinum, and several spawning international tours. Her 1998 hit, Believe, not only won her a Grammy, it also became one of the highest-selling singles by a female artist ever. Royalties from that one track alone continue to generate passive income to this day. Then there's film. Her Oscar-winning performance in Moonstruck, her powerful roles in Mask, The Witches of Eastwick, Burlesque, and more brought not just critical acclaim, but also box office success acclaim, but back-end deals, bonuses, and long-term syndication money. She also co-founded her own production company, Isis, giving her partial ownership in several projects. And don't forget endorsements. From beauty products to fragrance lines, Cher has been the face of glamour for decades. Every contract, carefully negotiated. She's never done anything she didn't believe in. That's part of why brands pay more. Because when Cher speaks, people listen. Add in art collections, investment portfolios, licensing deals, publishing rights, and you begin to understand Cher doesn't just live lavishly. She earned every inch of it. Her fortune isn't loud. It's not splashed across tabloids or flaunted in Instagram selfies. It's in the architecture of her homes, the softness of her car's leather seats, the power of walking away from deals she didn't need. She's built an empire not with spectacle, but with strategy. And yet, for all her wealth, there's one thing Cher has always given away freely: her heart. And that brings us to a part of her life few know deeply. But the world should. Philanthropy. For all the glitter and gold that surrounds her, there's something even more enduring about Cher: her generosity. It didn't begin in a boardroom or backstage. It began with a letter. In the late 1980s, a young child born with a craniofacial condition wrote to Cher after seeing her on television. The child didn't ask for money or fame or even help. They just asked to feel seen. Cher didn't write back. She showed up, not just for that child, but for thousands more. That letter would plant the seeds for her decades-long work with the Children's Craniofacial Association, where she serves as national chair and ambassador. Every June, at Cher's family retreat, she gathers children and families impacted by facial differences, not as fans, but as equals. She hugs them, eats with them, listens to their fears. Because Cher, the woman who once felt invisible in her own childhood, refuses to let others grow up unseen. But that's just one chapter. In 1996, at the Cannes Film Festival, Cher co-chaired the AmFAR AIDS Research Gala with Elizabeth Taylor. It wasn't for press, it wasn't for career points, it was because too many of her friends were dying in silence. She turned her stardom into a megaphone and never stopped shouting. Her work with Keep a Child Alive, a global AIDS relief organization, helped fund antiretroviral treatments for children and families across Africa and India. She doesn't just donate, she advocates, travels, puts names and faces to statistics the world tries to forget. In 2007, she quietly became the lead donor behind the Peace Village School in Kenya, a sanctuary for over 300 orphan children. Cher didn't just send a check, she funded dormitories, classrooms, food programs, and medical care. Later, partnering with Malaria No More, she distributed life-saving mosquito nets and medical kits in vulnerable communities across East Africa. No press releases, no red carpets, just action. And then came the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. When the headlines faded and outrage cooled, Cher acted. She partnered with Icelandic Glacial and shipped over 180,000 bottles of clean water directly to affected families. No politics, no PR, just compassion. Her reach even extended to veterans and soldiers. Through Operation Helmet, she personally funded helmet upgrade kits for troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, saving lives one soldier at a time. She also contributed to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, providing medical care and recovery services for wounded service members. And she hasn't forgotten her roots. In 1993, Cher traveled to Armenia, bringing food and supplies to war-ravaged regions, honoring her ancestry not with words, but with presence. But perhaps her most visible and personal philanthropy came when her child, Chaz, came out as LGBTQ+. At first, Cher struggled. She admitted feeling lost, even afraid. But then, she grew. She learned. She loved louder. And she used her platform to champion LGBTQ+ rights in a way few celebrities dared to in the 1990s. From speaking at PFLAG events to winning the Glad Vanguard Award, Cher became a mother, not just to Chaz, but to an entire generation of queer youth who finally felt seen. Because, for all her fame, Cher's true power lies in her refusal to turn away. She sees what others ignore. She acts when others wait. She gives, not to be praised, but because she knows what it feels like to need. And when asked why she does it, her answer is always the same: because I can. Personal life. The wigs, the sequins, the spotlight, they're only half the story. Because when the stage lights dim and the red carpet rolls away, the woman the world calls Cher becomes someone else entirely. She becomes, simply, Sherilyn. Now in her late 70s, Cher's days begin quietly. No entourage, no chaos, just the soft hum of Malibu wind curling through French doors and the slow ritual of making tea in her hand-tiled kitchen. Her mornings aren't for press junkets. They're for meditation, journals, and catching up on the world she's helped shape. She lives between two worlds, Malibu and Beverly Hills, each home offering a different rhythm. The ocean gives her clarity. The gardens give her grounding. She doesn't host wild parties. She prefers candlelit dinners with longtime friends. People like Donatella Versace, Elton John, and a small circle of creatives she's trusted for decades. Sometimes they talk about art. Sometimes they talk about nothing. And sometimes they just sit, listen to vinyl, and let silence say it all. Her days are filled with small rituals. She walks barefoot on stone floors. She writes late into the night. She rereads old scripts, not out of nostalgia, but curiosity. And when inspiration strikes, she still sings. Not for a crowd, not for a camera, but for herself. Cher's bond with her children remains layered but unbreakable. Chaz, her firstborn, has become a symbol of LGBTQ+ courage, something Cher has supported with ferocity and tenderness. Their relationship has seen challenges, misunderstandings, growth, and now profound love. Her younger son, Elijah Blue, shares her artistic soul, even as their relationship has had moments of distance. Still, she's proud, deeply, quietly. Love for Cher has never followed the rules. She married Sonny, then Greg Allman. She's dated rock stars, actors, moguls, even Tom Cruise, long before it made tabloid headlines. But ask her if she regrets anything, and she'll likely raise an eyebrow and say, "No, I regret nothing. I lived, and that's the point." Cher didn't live by the rules of marriage, or fame, or motherhood. She lived by instinct. These days, she's not trying to prove anything. She's not trying to top charts or break records. She's watching documentaries, planting lavender, designing furniture, and yes, scrolling Twitter. She once joked that she wanted to die on stage in fishnets. But in truth, she's found something even more seductive than applause: peace. Her life is now a gentle orbit: art, rest, charity, and the occasional splash of glitter when the world calls again. Because the truth is, she's not retired. She's just resting between acts. What do you call a woman who's been everything? A singer, an actress, a mother, a warrior, a mystery? You call her Cher. But titles will never be enough. Because Cher didn't just break barriers, she dissolved them. She didn't follow eras, she created them. And as the world changed, she refused to be left behind. Instead, she evolved, voice deeper, heart bigger, vision clearer. Her homes, scattered across Malibu cliffs and Beverly Hills gardens, are not just properties. They are monuments. Monuments to survival, to style, to spirit. Each arch, each carved ceiling, each candlelit hallway holds more than elegance. They hold memory, sound, stillness, and her fortune, her cars, her legacy, they aren't loud, they're earned, they whisper rather than shout, like her meditation room, like the final note of a ballad, like the echo of footsteps down a hallway only she walks. Because Cher isn't just a name, she's an era, a vibration, a life carved in stone and sound. And though time moves forward and the industry spins faster, one thing remains certain. Cher will always be there, somewhere beyond the gates, watching the sea, rewriting the rules.